2012 থেকে 15 সাল বাংলাদেশে ভারতের হাইকমিশনারের দায়িত্ব পালন করেন পঙ্কজ শরণ। আর দিল্লিতে 2009 থেকে 14 সাল পর্যন্ত বাংলাদেশের হাইকমিশনার ছিলেন তারিক-এ করিম। এই দুই সাবেক কূটনীতিকের কাছে বাংলাদেশ ভারত সম্পর্ক বিশ্লেষণের আয়োজন দৈনিক ভোরের কাগজের। সোমবার রাজধানীর সোনারগাঁও হোটেলে এই আয়োজনে রাষ্ট্রদূত তারিক করিমের আক্ষেপ, যুদ্ধে জড়ানো দেশগুলো পরস্পরের সঙ্গে অভ্যন্তরীণ বিষয়গুলো সহজে নিষ্পত্তি করে, কিন্তু বাংলাদেশ ভারত এখনো আন্তঃনদীর পানি বন্টন ইস্যুরই সমাধান করতে পারেনি।
Here we have to take lessons from other regions of the world. The foremost lesson I will point once again is Europe. They fought 2 world wars in the last century, but they had a treaty on both the Rhine and the Danube rivers, which ranged from between 150 years to 200 years. During all the fighting, they did not touch the rivers, they did not touch the ecosystem. They learned that that river is vital for all their existence. And so I am hopeful that as role models we will graduate and progress from having resolved our land and maritime boundaries to also resolving the issues related to common holistic management of the rivers that feed our populations on both sides. If we don't do that, the Delta Plan is dead. I may be being pessimistic, but that is what logic dictates.
ভারতীয় কূটনীতিক পঙ্কজ শরণ মনে করেন, কিছু আক্ষেপ থাকলেও বাংলাদেশ ভারত পারস্পরিক সম্পর্ক অন্য মাত্রায় শক্তিশালী। ক্ষমতার পট পরিবর্তনেও সেই শক্তি খুব একটা কমে না।
From 2008 or 2009 there has been display of political will in Bangladesh, and most interestingly there has been display of political will in India among all political parties. I remember when the 2014 election took place, I was in Bangladesh, in Dhaka. A lot of questions were asked to me by the media, by officials, that what would be the fate of the relationship now that the Congress party had lost and a new party and a new Prime Minister had come, and what would happen to the relationship. And I used to tell them, just wait and see. Don't jump to conclusions about intent and about past record. And the lesson in the last 15 years is that on the Indian side, the political leadership has actually gone even further in building the relationship with Bangladesh than its predecessor government. So if the relationship has not just maintained at the same level, but it has become even more intense in the last 15 years. And on the Bangladesh side, similarly, we have seen this display of political will at every juncture. I want to give the example also of the Teen Bigha corridor. Some of you might remember that in the late 80s, mid-80s, the Teen Bigha corridor was the #1 political issue between India and Bangladesh. Generations of officials and diplomats and bureaucrats had sat and discussed how to do and solve the Teen Bigha corridor and the transit and the lease and the bridge. I was there, and it was bitter, it led to a lot of problems, but finally the Teen Bigha corridor was solved in 1992 when Begum Khaleda Zia was Prime Minister. And in India you had again a weak coalition government, but there was political will. 1996 was the Ganges Water Treaty. It was not a strong government in Delhi, it was a coalition, a weak coalition. And in Bangladesh also you had a coalition government. So political will is an essential condition for success. Second is, I think in the case of India and Bangladesh, all of you know the history, the border, the cross-border problems. I think in this particular relationship, one of the key reasons of success was the security compact that was arrived at between India and Bangladesh.
পঙ্কজ শরণ মনে করেন বাংলাদেশ আর ভারতের নিরাপত্তা ওতপ্রোতভাবে জড়িত। এমনকি ভারত পূর্ব পাশের 3 দেশ বাংলাদেশ, নেপাল, ভুটানকে নিয়ে যেমন স্বস্তিতে, তেমনি এই 3 দেশের উন্নয়নেও সহযোগী।
We must contrast it with, let's say, India's western border. India's western border and India's eastern borders, and by east I mean Bangladesh, Nepal and Bhutan. And on the west I mean basically Pakistan and to some extent Afghanistan. They are a study in contrast. Today, the western border with India is shut and sealed and heavily militarized. The result is today for everyone to see.
বিপরীতে ভারতের পশ্চিম সীমান্ত একেবারে রুদ্ধ। পঙ্কজ শরণ বলছেন, তার ফলাফলে ইতিহাসের সবচেয়ে কঠিন সময়ে পাকিস্তান, এমনকি 1971 সালের পর আবারও ভাঙ্গনের মুখে দেশটি।
Pakistan today faces its gravest national crisis since its creation in 1947. Whether it is economic, whether it is political, or whether it is social. It is virtually the relationship has virtually broken down with the Taliban in Afghanistan. The whole Pashtun identity has become the number one threat to the unity of Pakistan. This idea that religion or Islam can be the glue to keep a country together is once again, after 1971, coming into question. Any observer will tell you what is happening in Balochistan, what is happening in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, what is happening in Punjab, what is happening in Sindh. The TTP in Afghanistan is raising this whole issue of the Pashtun identity. Apart from that, the economy is in a state of complete collapse. I'm saying all this because that is an example of a border that has shut down with India. But on the other hand, you have Nepal, you have Bhutan, and you have Bangladesh, which represent exactly the opposite model, which is one of openness and trade and investment and people-to-people flows.
এই দুই কূটনীতিকই বলছেন, স্থল সীমান্ত, আঞ্চলিক নিরাপত্তার পাশাপাশি জলবায়ু পরিবর্তন, সমুদ্র থেকে নদীর ব্যবস্থাপনা সব ক্ষেত্রেই আরও জোরালোভাবে একসঙ্গে কাজ করতে পারে বাংলাদেশ ও ভারত।
Look, we are a democracy. We are not exporting our democracy. We recognize that every country has its own method, its own system. And I would just say that, you know, as a now a private individual, I'd say who's watched Bangladesh, that we wish you the best. I mean, you have an election the best way that you can. You have your institutions, you have your media, you have everything. Do the best that you can. Believe in yourselves and accept whatever results that come out of those elections. I don't think it's for any country, including India. I don't think it's for any country in the world to talk about how elections should be conducted either in Bangladesh or in India or in Afghanistan or in any other country. It is a decision to be taken by the people. Otherwise, what is the meaning and concept of independence and of being a sovereign nation? So I would say it's for the people to decide who they elect. It is for the institutions to decide how the election is held. And we will wish you the best in this endeavor. The only thing we hope is that the process goes through as per the wishes of the people, that it is peaceful, does not lead to instability, and that is all. But I don't think anyone has the right, or no one has been given the mandate in today's world to, issue judgments on how a particular election.
আশিকুর রহমান অপু, ATN নিউজ, ঢাকা।